Welcome back all my aspiring pattern makers and my future fashion designers. In this sewing video today, I'm going to show you how to install an invisible zipper. As a fashion designer and a pattern maker, I usually opt to use an invisible zipper in my garment as opposed to the regular zipper or the metal zipper. And the reason for that is that the invisible zipper gives the garment a clean finished look, and also the zipper is hidden and you won't see that seam outside as opposed to using a regular zipper or a metal zipper. There are certain things that you need to know before you start installing an invisible zipper. First of all, you need to choose the proper color zipper. And the reason I say this is because you are not going to choose the zipper based on the color that is going to match the fabric. You are going to choose the zipper based on the pull tab. And yes, that is very important because the pull tab needs to match that color of the garment that you're making. If it doesn't match the fabric, then you're obviously going to see that invisible zipper, and it is not going to be cool because all you're seeing when you install an invisible zipper at the end is going to be the pull tab. So the pull tab needs to match very close to the color of the fabric that you're making that garment. If I'm making a garment and this is the blue, I'm not going to choose a zipper like this that has this pull tab. No. And I'm not going to choose a zipper that has a pull tab like this. No. I'm going to choose something that is very close. This will be very close to the color of the outfit that I'm making. So it is very important that you choose the proper zipper and choose it based on the pull tab. Another thing that you need is the correct zipper foot. And for an invisible zipper, you can use two types. You can use the one like this that has the hole right here on one side. And notice you have two types. You have one on the left side and you also have one on the right side. And these are totally different. And I'll show you how you're going to use either of these. You will have one using on the right side coming down and the other side on the left side. And the other type is this type where you will have a hole, but there is an indentation underneath and you are going to align it to where the zipper teeth is. So that's very important. So the third thing that you need to do is that you need to iron your zipper before you get started. Yes, I did say that. It is very important that you iron your zipper when you are installing an invisible zipper. You don't need to do that for a regular zipper or the metal zipper. So this is your zipper and this is what it looks like. This is the back of the zipper and this is the front of the zipper. So this is a zipper that is being ironed, right? And you will notice a difference there with the teeth when it is ironed. So that is very important. You have to do it. Another thing that you need to do, you have to make sure that your desired opening length is going to be shorter than your zipper. So you have to put a notch on the fabric where the seam is going to start or where the zipper should be ending, and that is going to be your guide. And from that notch, you need to use the regular presser foot, create that seam, whether you're using a 1/2 seam allowance or you're using a 3/4 seam allowance, and create that seam all the way down to whatever the end of the garment is. So without further ado, let's get started, and I'm going to show you how to iron the zipper first and then how to install an invisible zipper. So before we get started, we need to iron the invisible zipper. This is the right side of the zipper and this is the wrong side. So we need to open the zipper, right? And we are going to place it down like this with the pull tab underneath, right? This is the pull tab. It's going to be underneath and you're going to iron the zipper open. So roll back the teeth of the zipper and right at the top, the stop, and you're going to iron that way. All right, you're going to iron it open. See the difference? This is the part that's ironed open and this is the part that's not. Notice it is rolling over to that side and this is open flat. So I just want you to know the difference there. So this part is the part that was just ironed, and this is the part that is not ironed. So you need to iron the zipper open, and that's what you are doing, both sides, and put a lot of steam there. I'm using an industrial steam iron. But if you don't have an industrial steam iron, which you should, you still need to iron the zipper teeth open. And I will say 2 to 3 times is good, because you just want to give enough steam to that teeth and push it back to make it open, because it will make a difference when you are installing the zipper. Okay, so this is what it looks like, and this is what an invisible zipper that is not ironed look like. I just want to show you there's a difference there. Don't know if you can see it from here, but I showed you the difference before. So let's now get into actually installing this invisible zipper. Before we get started, we have to make sure that we remove the regular presser foot that we have and replace it with the invisible presser foot. And we have 2 types of invisible presser foot. We have actually 3 types. So these are the types of presser foot. This is the one where the hole is right here in the center and you have the indentation on the back like this. And I'm going to demonstrate to you how to use this presser foot to install an invisible zipper. And the other choice is that you can use either of these. I'm going to show you how to use these 2 types also. So before further ado, let's get started with the first one. Make sure that you remove your presser foot. And I'm going to use this one with the hole, the invisible one that has the indentation. Okay. Make sure your thread, you go down and you are going to pull your thread out, right? And then you have to lift it back up. So you already have your garment that you are going to install the zipper. This is the rest of your seam. This is the seam opening right here. This is your notch where it's going to tell you where to stop for your zipper. And I have 2 here because I am actually going to demonstrate to you 2 ways of installing the invisible zipper. Now, as I stated before, it is important that you choose the correct pull tab. You can't use this because it is too dark, and so I'm opting to use this one because this is closer to the shade of fabric that I'm using. Don't worry about the actual zipper itself right here. You have to concentrate on the pull tab. So let's get into it, the first one. So to get started, make sure that you already press open your seam, the rest of your seam, and you also press on top to make sure it lays flat. And you are now going to lay this zipper starting at the top up here. Make sure that it is below, like about an inch below the notch. You want to make sure that it is there. So the indentation that you have here, you want to make sure you have, if you're using 1/2 inch seam allowance, right, and this is my 1/2 inch seam allowance, if you were using 3/4 of an inch, you have to go over some more. So this is your 1/2 inch seam allowance that you have. You have to make sure that the hole is going right along the zipper right here, the teeth of the zipper. But you have to also make sure that that extra, the teeth part or this part of the fabric is really underneath the other indentation and not on this side. So once you have that, you lower your needle into the fabric and now you're ready to sew. And just take your time to start off with as a beginner. And I'm going to do this, and notice it is holding back. Follow your seam allowance there and continue all the way down. Make sure when you're stopping, your needle is embedded in the fabric to hold it. If you don't do that, you will have a difficulty. Okay? And then you sew all along and continue down. Using your finger as a guide to keep it open. Follow your 1/2 inch seam allowance and you're going to come down. If you notice right here, my stop is right there. and you go back twice to make sure you are securing that. And you cut your thread. Make sure you leave enough so you are going to pull your thread from the back. All right, see how close it is at the back there. Pull your thread out and you tie your thread. Even though you back stitch, I always tie it because it is a zipper, and sometimes this is the area at the end of the zipper that sometimes pull apart by wearing the garment, and so you don't want to have that difficulty. So now let's do the other side. And the unique thing about this part is that if you're doing the other side, you now will line it up again. For those of you who are beginners at installing the invisible zipper, you can pin it or baste it, and I'm going to show you. If you're pinning it, you just simply pin it this way. I know by judgment what my 1/2 inch should be like. Make sure that when you are pinning, you won't pin like this. No, you should be pinning where you can easily pull the pin out. Okay, so it is important that you do that as a beginner. I'm a veteran. I have to pin mine because I know you know what my seam allowance should look like. I'm a veteran of that. So this is the thing with the other indentation now. You're doing the reverse. Before we did it where we had the indentation in the part on the left, but now we are putting that indentation on the right, and make sure we are securing the needle in the hole there. And you can start. And remove the pin as you go along. Keep it open. You already pressed it, so it should be fine, but sometimes, you know, as you are going along, because it's cold and it still doesn't have much heat, then it's best if you just do that. Pull it. And you want to make sure that you catch it properly on this side. So sometimes if your finger is a bit too big, you just use a pin to help you to open it like this. Once you do that, make sure you are back tacking along there. Okay, and that's it. Ouch. This happens to anyone. So the best of us, things like this do happen, where by pulling you end up breaking the thread. But just remember that you have to just re-thread and you're ready to go back. So once again, you are going to pull from the other side and you are going to tie your thread. Okay. You can tie it this way or you can tie it the other way, your preference. You have the tab that you need to pull through. Don't forget, you have to. That's why you have that space there. So you're going to push the pull tab through like this. Sometimes you don't have much of a space. That's why you can't go down too far to the end of the zipper. You have to have some room there. Okay, plus you won't be able to install the zipper if you even do that anyhow. So you have that, and you have the tab on the other side now right here, and you're going to pull on the tab. Okay, and there you go. This is your invisible zipper. See? Just like that. And this is the pull tab. And you will just iron this, okay? Put some steam on this, iron it flat, and you're good to go. This is your invisible zipper, and that's for using this type of invisible zipper foot. Now let's get into the other type of invisible zipper foot, and we have to change our zipper foot in this way. Now we have the choice of these two, but you have to think about it. If you are installing the zipper, and this is the back of the zipper, and you're coming down, you have to use this side. So you're going to use the one with the hole on the left side, looking towards you. Okay? So I'm doing this. Make sure that you use your tool to secure, like that. And this is the other piece that is already prepared. Your seam was stitched and you iron it out flat on both sides and you are ready to go. So now that we have this, all you have to do now, you're going to line up your zipper, right? And you line up your zipper in this fashion where the back side or the front of the zipper with the pull tab underneath is going to face the seam allowance side, and pull tab, this is your pull tab underneath. Make sure that your thread is going to the back. You are lining this up the 1/2 inch right there, not from the zipper, because the zipper is not exactly 1/2 inch. Focus on your seam allowance line here, right? You need to have your 1/2 inch if you're using 1/2 inch. If you're using 3/4 of an inch, then you have to focus on the 3/4 of an inch, okay? So line it up, and as you can see, the indentation for the hole or the half hole, the semicircle, is on the left side looking at the presser foot, the invisible presser foot. So you have that. As I said, you can pin or you can base. For me, because I'm a veteran, I don't need to pin, I don't need to base, but I'm pinning for you guys now. Practice, practice, and perfect practice leads to perfection. So you have that, and once you're coming down, you are going to stitch as close as possible, because this is what this presser foot does. It allows you to stitch as close as possible to the teeth of the zipper. All right. You just have to focus on your 1/2 inch seam allowance guide here as you're doing so, but you would already have this zipper basted and ready to go. As I stated before, I'm a veteran. I don't need to base my zipper. I've been actually sewing since 1984. You're talking about 41 years ago or so. And so I'm a veteran at doing this. I don't need to base anything. And each time you stop, make sure that you're stopping with your needle embedded into the fabric. And notice here, you have to give more room, right? So that's why you don't put your notch to the end of the zipper here. So when you're installing an invisible zipper, I need you to think strategically before you have your seam. You need, from the opening here, the end of the opening of the zipper, from that point, you need an extra 1.5 inches at least leverage on that zipper. So if you have an 8-inch zipper, right, from the top right here, and I'm not talking from the stop, I'm talking from the actual top, then you know that wherever the seam is, if it is 8 inches, you need to stop at 6.5. Your seam should be starting at 6.5 inches down. So you need an extra 1.5 inch there allowance for installing the zipper. And this is because of the end part of the zipper foot, you need that space. So let's continue now. You want to make sure that the zipper teeth is lining up where it's going to stitch, right very close to the seam line. If you don't do that, you're going to run into difficulty. All right. And you give yourself enough room for the thread so you can pull it to the other end and you can tie the thread. You can tie it either way, whether it's just opening both parts and making a knot, or you can just simply tie both of them. Now when you are doing the next side, you can either up to starting from here coming up, or if you prefer, you can literally use the zipper foot, which is this one, and sew down. But that's if you are comfortable sewing it this way, because you won't have a seam guide on this side. So I would continue using this presser foot, invisible presser foot that I have coming down. Line this up, make sure that the pull tab is underneath, and it has to be. You will see this area right here, okay? So line it up properly, okay, and you want to be able to see it. So you will pin like this and pin all the way down. If you are a beginner at sewing, you would simply go ahead and baste this. Because I'm a veteran and I've been doing this for years, I'm just going to pin it for you to show you what you should be doing. But be careful right here. You don't want any puckering here. You want to make sure that it's laying flat. And then let's get going with sewing this. And as you can see, when I told you about the 1.5 inch leverage, to start out, if you're not a veteran, I would say do 2 inches of leverage there, because you want to also clear this area. So as you can see here, this is where the opening is. You want to have enough there, and that's why I suggested the 1.5 inch or more. You can do 2 inches, but do not leave less than 1.5 inch space here, because if you see the shank of the presser foot is hitting the pull, and you don't need that to happen, because you want to have a smooth finish right there. And you are ready to go now. So follow this, your guide, your seam allowance, your 1/2 inch seam allowance there. And as you are coming down, you are just opening up the zipper teeth. Yes, you did iron it, but you're still opening up as you come along and come down. Okay. And this is it. You see on the back side, see what it looks like here. And you will just pull the thread through. As I stated before, you can open the thread and tie it like this, or you could have just tied it together how I did the previous way. And you have your pull tab here. You now need to push it through. So pushing it through is sometimes difficult if you don't have enough space here, 1.5 inch. So you have to make sure you need at least 1.5 inch space right there to push it through. And this is what it looks like. If you notice, nice and clean. All right. And then you will just take this over to the iron board, and you will just put some steam on this. When you install an invisible zipper, it's always important that you iron it. So you're just going to place some steam on the outside, and if you notice here, this is what it looks like. You can actually use the board also and press down like this. You just need a piece of board, and notice how the seam looks. It's almost seamless. This is the other one, and that's your invisible zipper. So in conclusion, now that you know how to install an invisible zipper, I hope that you will not be hesitant and you will choose to use an invisible zipper for your next zipper closure as opposed to the regular zipper or the metal zipper. Dare to be different and practice, 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 because you're going to need a lot of practice and patience in order to be great at installing an invisible zipper. You're not going to get good at installing an invisible zipper the first time that you do so. So please practice, 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 and you will get good at it. It will elevate your garment and you will step out in style. Level up, level up, level up. Dare to be different. You want to level up and know that you are wearing that garment where that closure is going to be an invisible zipper, and that person who's looking at your garment is only going to see the pull tab, and they're not going to see an extra seam on the side along the seam line, and they will know that it is an invisible zipper and not a regular zipper. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you like what you see, hit the like button also. And guess what? Don't keep this video to yourself. Share it with others around the world so they too can level up their game with their zipper closures and choose to use an invisible zipper as opposed to a regular zipper or a metal zipper. Thank you for watching and see you soon on the next video to come. Bye now.